And now, part 4 of Living Untethered by Michael Singer. And it starts with thoughts and dreams. Chapter 16, The Abstract Mind. Fortunately, your mind has a layer beyond the layers of the personal mind. It has been called the impersonal mind, the abstract mind, or even the purely intellectual mind. This layer of mind is not distracted by the inner commotion caused by your samskaras. It is free to soar unhindered into the pure brilliance and creativity of a higher expression of mind. This higher layer of your mind, which we will call the abstract layer, is what allows you to build rocket ships, develop air conditioning, and discover the existence of atoms. The abstract mind is what truly makes humans great. You are not limited to experiencing only through your senses. You are free to explore in the realm of pure intellectual mind. Your mind can take you pretty much anywhere. Do you want to build rovers that can go to Mars so you can explore the planet on the internet? Wonderful. You can do that because your mind is capable of expanding beyond the limit of your senses and the limit of your personal thoughts. Mind can operate at many levels. The question is, what are you doing with it? Intellectually, you have the ability to take images from outside and do creative things with them. You're free to use your mind's power to be artistically abstract and intellectually logical. A perfect example of the latter would be Einstein's thought experiments. Einstein came up with many of his greatest theories sitting in his armchair and reasoning out very abstract concepts. This is a great tribute to the power of our minds. It's a far cry from getting lost in your personal thoughts and making your thoughts about yourself the total meaning of your life. Once you create thoughts about what you want and don't want, and how to force the world to be that way, you will never be okay inside. You will lose much of the great power of abstract thought because you cannot abstract from yourself. Life will become a battle between reality and your mental preferences. This use of the mind is called the personal mind because its thoughts are all about you and your concepts, views, and preferences. The teachings of mindfulness, which center awareness on the current moment, encourage you to focus on something other than the personal mind. Focusing on the moment is one way to get your consciousness off its incessant addiction to the personal. Another way to transcend the personal mind is by using your intellectual mind to create and do things that are not personal in nature. This includes being an engine who reasons out problems or a medical researcher who studies diseases and how to cure them. Artistry, computer science, mathematics, all of these are examples of beautiful uses of the impersonal mind. The mind is great. It's just not supposed to be used for storing all your personal preferences and then thinking the whole world is supposed to match what you stored. The outside world is simply not going to magically match what you've stored in your mind. In fact, it is not very intelligent to expect it to. It's really intelligent to devote your life to fighting with life. Is it really intelligent to devote your life to fighting with life so it aligns with your past good and bad experiences? How can you enjoy life if you are always worrying and struggling to get it your way? That's what all of our societies are doing. And that's what almost every human being has done. People just haven't evolved enough to learn not to do that. Rich people, poor people, and sick people, healthy people, married people, single people. They all are bound in the same way. If they get what they want, they are relatively okay. If they don't get what they want, they suffer to a greater or lesser extent. Fortunately, you do not have to live this way. There is a much higher way to live life, but it requires that you change how you interact with your mind and with the life unfolding before you. To understand this transformation, let's first take a look at how you even decided what you want and don't want. If you pay attention, you will see that your past experiences determine your preferences. You didn't just make it up from scratch. Your views, opinions, and preferences are formulated based on data from your past. For example, let's say you are totally secure in your love relationship until you hear that your friends had a breakup and they're miserable. All of a sudden you start worrying about your own relationship. You were fine before you heard about your friends, but now you're not. You stored the concept of a breakup inside your mind, even though it really had nothing to do with you. You took it personally. Is it possible to process the information without it getting stuck in your mind? Of course it is. Your friends had a problem, and they shared it with you. It came into your mind, it passed through your consciousness, and you experienced the feeling of compassion. The interaction actually made you a greater being. You were able to fully absorb the reality of life without it getting stuck in your mind. If you want to recall it later, you can willfully restore it from memory in all its glory, but it will not keep coming back up by itself. Since it did not get stuck in the conscious mind or shoved into the subconscious, it will not adversely affect your life. It actually made you a better person because you were able to handle the experience. On the other hand, if you are not able to process the experience without resisting it, it will stay stuck in the conscious mind and create havoc. If you really resist it, it will get shoved down into the subconscious, where it will fester and spread into disturbance throughout the mind. In either case, you are storing what you are afraid of in your mind. If you do this, you will be afraid of your own thoughts. How could you not be? You made a collection of unpleasant thoughts in your mind, and they are going to keep coming back up. Now, in order to live in there, the analytical aspect of mind must be utilized to figure out what needs to happen outside for you to be okay. This is where preferences come from. They're simply attempts to use outside events to solve the fact that you are not doing well inside. This results in the constant practice of judging everything that's unfolding based on your preferences. It's easy to see why people don't agree with each other. Nobody else has had the experiences that came in through your eyes. What you have inside your mind is completely different from what others have inside their minds. It can't be otherwise because the data in your mind came from the experiences you had. Nobody else had those experiences, not even close, not your spouse, your children, or your friends. Not only were your past experiences different, but you processed them differently. We can certainly force ourselves to conform to other ways of thinking in order to gain acceptance. But that just makes living inside all the more complicated. But you not only have your default way of thinking resulting from your stored past impressions, but now you must suppress parts of that in order to conform to the group mindset. No wonder it gets messy in there. You're holding all that personal stuff inside your mind, the good, the bad, and the ugly. The inevitable result is that if the moment in front of you happens to align well with your stored patterns, you feel great. You feel open, excited, and enthused. If it doesn't align well with your stored patterns, you get upset. you immediately close, get defensive, and maybe even get depressed. Now we're back to the question we asked earlier. What's it like living in there? Sometimes it's nice, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's heaven, and sometimes it's hell. This is why. It is not because God made it that way. You did this. You were given free will, and what you did with your free will was make a mess of your mind. Instead of being in awe of the moment in front of you even exists, you fight with it to make it match what you want.